Hi everyone, good evening. Welcome to class. Like we used to do in secondary school and university, some people will always come late. So let's give them a minute and then we'll start. Right?
Hi guys, good evening. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up. Let me be sure that everyone can hear the response. Guys, okay, beautiful. So we can hear our call tonight. Okay, so what time is this? You know why you have series of participants. So precisely after finish what you're doing. Okay. So if you can see my screen, just want to see my screen. Today we'll be going graphics design. And I'm going to be talking about what graphic design is really all about and how well it comes to create in our field. So if you can see my screen, let's go. Right, perfect. I think most of all we have called G and what is trying to break this particular call that design is not an inbuilt talent, meaning that anyone can pick up design skill and build values. So really what it real sense, what is graphics design? Let me go ahead to zoom in. So in real sense, what is graphics design? So like, a lot of people have different ideas about what design is. What graphics design, I like to say, is clearly different from product design or UI UX design. For those of you that might have come in contact, graphics design is like going to be communication, visual communication, we get to use images, typography, color, and for this moment, I realized that it's called my God record. So let me just show you it's really recorded. It's been recorded. Okay. Can anyone hear me? My network went off for a while. Yes, you can still hear me. Okay, good. All right. Thank you so much. So we are saying that graphic design is all about visual communication. When we get to images, layout, copy ideas, and solve problems. Now, in visual communication, one question I would like to ask is, for all of us on school, like everybody has come across a flyer. It's short, almost everything, and I really came across a flyer today. What is that one thing that drew your attention to that flyer? Is it the color? Is it the type of font? Or is it the way it was designed? So, guys, just go ahead and drop one thing that drew your attention to the particular design today. And drop it in the chat, and I'll just pick it up from there. So I'm waiting, please. This class is supposed to be interactive. It's not required. Okay. Okay, colors, bright, beautiful. What else? Okay, colors, bright, good. So we have other things. We have colors, you might have typography. Thank you. This is after that. I have colors, you might have typography, full of to design. And then the emotional impact. You know, the call yesterday, you should remember when I mentioned If you see a bright red banner in the road, what emotion would it evoke? It's more or less things that red in different instances can mean different things. In cases where it is late and red, it can simply be danger. It can mean love for Valentine. It can mean what avoiding. At the same time, one thing we have to know is design is all around us, whether we like it or not. And even as we have slide for you, it's still design. So why should design come for us? Like as in this community, like what matters is I believe a lot of people choose design because we want to make something stand out. You want to make your brand stand out. If you see a flyer, your first instinct why you should choose that flyer, whether it's going to be one of these platforms. Is it beautiful enough for me to want to trust that I give this particular flyer? It's beautiful. Like there's some flyers that you know that you cannot give that business your money, not because what their service is saying is wrong, but because of the quality. So design helps. It helps one get attention. It also helps communicate quickly. I think that the idea of I want to sell a particular service, I design something in fire and then I show you. Then yeah, to have an idea without having to explain. Because if you see a flyer that is great, by looking at it, mere looking at it, you already have an idea of what you want to do and you don't have to waste so much time on it. You just okay, do I want to do it more? Do I not want to do it? And then you get to move on from there. Another thing design does is it sets you apart. Like I said, if you see a design that is not beautifully designed or it's just anyhow, you're likely going to skip the business. Because imagine seeing a flyer that looks ugly and then you're asked to pay for a design training of let's say of about 25,000. A business that have not successfully created good design is continuing to pay for design. What is the probability of you signing up for that particular class if you see something like that? What is the possibility? I think nobody's saying anything. Exactly. So we're not going to sign up because we are more or less saying, oh, okay, this is not worth my time. If they're not being able to design something properly for themselves, what are they going to teach me? And then we move on from there. So one thing you have to understand is what are the type of graphic design. We have different type of graphic designs. Majorly as beginners, we tend all over the place. Why we do that is that as a beginner coming into design, you have to first be a generalist. What being a generalist does for you is it gives you an idea of everything that's happening, and then you then decide where you want to be and how you are going to be there. For example, the different type of disciplines I stated out here is brand slash identity design. So, what is brand design? Brand design is simply when you create logos, when you create brand guidelines. You get to see that when you're creating a logo, you create a typography that accompanies it. You then notice that there are logos that have different variants. It's simply part of your brand guideline. And then common tools that can be used to do stuff like this are Illustrator and Canva. For social media design, it's more or less covering what you post on post, stories, ads, carousel, and reels thumbnail, or let's just say covers of videos and put it in demand terms. That is what social media design covers. So when you see a post on social media, it's different from your brand design, and then it's also different from print design. For print design, we're basically selling a business, right? We're basically selling. So for print design, we're designing flyers, we're designing brochure, we're designing business cards. What we hope to achieve here is sell actual value and put for images. The AI UX or web design is also designing app interfaces, website, dashboard, etc. We have motion graphics, so you see maybe characters move or short videos like that. Okay, the character is moving from point A to point B. Then we have marketing designs where we get to talk about ad creation, email banners, etc., and so on and so forth. The one thing you should know about it 6 brands of design or the 6 different fields of design, they kind of share tools in common. Because for the common tools, you should have seen that we have Illustrator, Canva, we have Figma, and we have Photoshop. All of these do nearly similar things. And then the tools are very, 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 I mean, the tools are very, very similar. It's not something you have to stress yourself. So if I'm moving from Canva to Figma, the interface is similar. I don't have to think so much. Even Photoshop. I think the only thing that happens here is as long as you understand it, making a switch or moving in between tools is going to be easy. Because at some point, Photoshop was the norm. Then we had Canva. Canva, I think the beauty of Canva majorly that it comes with design templates, meaning that it gives you an idea about what you should design and where you should from it. Now, just in case, I would pause for a brief moment and then ask, am I moving too fast or should I slow down? I just want to be sure so that I'm taking everyone on a ride and then start what you're doing. Are you hearing me? Am I moving too fast, guys? Hello? Okay, so far, normal. Who else? Please, it's only that I responded to this one. We're over the proposed for please. Am I moving too fast or is it okay? I want to be able to carry everything along, bearing in mind that I know that I have the people who are beginners on which is called. Okay? So please let me know. Okay. So helpful then. So another thing to bear in mind is when coming to the fundamentals, which is color. So what is color? Color plays a huge role in design. For color, we are then saying that, okay, how does it impact a human being? How do they relate to it? Like earlier on, you see when I mentioned the red factor, I'm saying that, okay, color is emotional, it provokes a particular feeling. For those in agriculture, we know that the agricultural field, the major dominant color in that field is green, meaning that I cannot be in agriculture, I cannot be designing for agriculture and then go ahead to use purple. I still cannot be designing for agriculture and then go ahead to use yellow. Why? That color does not evoke the actual color related to that particular field. And then it then means I have to understand. So when we talk about the 4 major colors used in designing, we say we have hue, saturation, value, and contrast. Hue can simply say the liking to our favorite colors, where we get to talk about um, the red, blue, and yellow colors. When you that's our primary color. Saturation is just majorly a mixture of the primary colors, which is also known as secondary colors. You get other colors. Another thing to keep in mind is how light or dark the color is. The idea there's something we say you can never use it's not never, but it is advised never to use the true shade to color when designing. Meaning that if I were to use blue, I can at no time use actual blue. So if the code color for blue is, I'll just go with black. For black, which is pure black. If I were to design, I'm going to go with the variant of 1E, 1E, 1E. What am I doing this? I am reducing the actual opacity of that color. I don't need to use blue in its full glory. Why? It then boils down to talk about compatibility and how people can work with colors. So we now have to make sure that okay, if I'm looking at an image, we have to be considerate because we're then looking at accessibility. If someone is colorblind, can they come to my design and um, give me a minute, guys. Please, if you can hear me, drop a thumbs up. Guys, if you can hear me, please drop it. Okay, beautiful. Because I am seeing a message that's saying that, okay, okay, I'm just getting a message. Okay, so give me a minute. I'm seeing a message that people can access. I don't know what's happening. So give me a minute. Okay, right. So guys, I'll leave the call and come back in. Having that particular error message of someone not being able to hear me. Give me a minute, please. Okay, I just made a switch to my network. Please, if you can hear me, go ahead and drop an emoji for me, please. Can anyone hear me? Okay, okay. So I can so the four of you on this call can hear me. I don't believe that it's a network issue. So, okay, moving on. We're talking about value. Value is how light or how dark the color is. Now, in cases where we have had to deal with tinted color, we are then saying that this tint, how is it working? Remember when I mentioned that some colors are not meant to be used in their true state because of what they do, and then because we are then remembering that we have people who are colorblind and being not able to use the same this. Let me see that color. That's why we don't use colors here. So every time you have to move like one or two steps up the ladder so that any other person looking at it will look at it clearly. And that's why you notice that in most designs we have light theme and dark theme, even for your mobile phones and for certain clients. Why that is done is because there are two things. We're trying to create a contrast between colors so that people can easily read. And at the same time, we're trying to make sure that what we have is very clear and can pull attention. One thing you should note about design is you tell your users what you want them to see and how you want them. That is what you have to know. And then as we progress in this class, we move on to the aspect. So for color harmony, most of us must have seen a color wheel. And I believe it's not strict. So if you've not yet seen a color wheel before, just let me know. Or even at that, if you just Google color wheel, I bet you're going to see what a color wheel looks like and how best to work with it. For color wheels, we have complementary colors. You notice that complementary colors usually are colors that are opposite themselves in the color wheel. So it then makes it easy for you to pair colors. If there is someone who is not good with colors, color wheel is more or less the best way. It will even help you with your colors. So, and then telling you that okay, this is these are the colors you can use. The monochromic is more or less just one color shade that you can use and use it very well so that it's not everywhere and all of that. For analogous, it's just opposite the color wheel and you can just pick one or two of them. Or this opposite, sorry, adjacent, complementary is opposite. Analogous is adjacent. Then for triadjacent is there are evenly spaced colors on the wheel. So there's a space between you can pick three colors that has like you pick one color, skip the color in between, pick the next color, and that is how it goes. So we have a 10, 60-30 rule in design. What this does is you're allowed to design with a minimum of one color, maximum of three colors. Why do we see this? This is because we want to make sure that all colors that are working with are going to be similar, and then we don't have coming out as color riots. Now, there are times you see a design and then you're asking yourself that why does this particular design has like 6 to 10 colors? It is not because the designer doesn't know what to do, but it's simply because somehow they made up their mind that, oh, okay, I'm going to do this with this design and this that. Then you now remember that it becomes color riot because the person has about 5 colors all working at the same time, and then it becomes difficult to read. I hope many of you have you seen a color that's color riot before? Let's start from there. Like you have seen some that are limited, so it's just so the common thing is color riot or rainbow colors. Somebody is wearing about 50 colors at once on their body. Have we seen that? That's why we have the 60 colors. 60% is when we have the dominant color. So if you look at so far, so we have been scrolling on this particular design, and one thing to note is that dominant color we have right now for this our particular side is a deep blue, meaning that after the next color, which is the secondary color, is white. Then after the secondary color, we have an accent color, which is the next color we get to see, and which then helps whatever we are doing stand out in clean form, and we are good to go from them. So once we have noticed this, we know that okay, this is how it's going to go. Now, you get this slide, so you can go ahead and read what you see, like what colors to use for different scenarios. Because as much as we like to say that, oh, I can design any color, you have to note that some colors are associated with a particular brand, and you don't have a choice but to use that color. The only thing you can do is use that color, different variants and different forms. Another thing that comes to majorly is typography. Typography is to say that, oh, okay, how do I want these people to be able to read what I say and what I do? Because right now, if you can see my slides, you're able to read this because, yeah, this is typography. It's eligible and you don't have to strain your eyes on anything. In designing, you have to consider your fonts. What people say, call it fonts as well. Why? Because typography is more like the act of arranging text. The font is the type of text you get to use. It's more like the family of how it works. And then we have 4 different types. What we have serif, sans serif, script, also known as handwritten, and we have decorative. Now for sans serif, the font you're currently looking at right now is the serif. The font that was used to design this particular slide you're looking at is the serif font. But serif fonts are the only ones that have like little strokes at the end of the tag and all of that. But for sans serif, they're just clean, they're just normal, they don't have anything stopping them, they're just where they are. Then script or handwritten is just like it feels like a normal person's handwriting. It feels like okay, this is a handwriting, this is what they're supposed to achieve at the end of the day. This is where we're going to, and then scripting, you know those curly fonts that feels like the handwriting is very fast. And so we get to talk about okay, descriptive ones or decorative ones, and then move from there. Now there are mistakes that we have to talk about. Just the same way we say that for using colors, you can't use more than 3 colors. Then we will say typography that you're allowed to use a minimum of 2 typography of fonts. Let's use fonts. 2 fonts and a maximum of 3 fonts. Why is that so? Remember that in designing, you are creating hierarchy. Hierarchy is more or less equal later you want someone to see before they see the body. Now, if you're looking at you can see this is hierarchy. This pink heading one is more or less me creating a hierarchy. Say that this is what I want you to see. Before you see the body of this. If you see the body of the text, you will notice that there's also the next one, next this side for the actual body text. Now we're saying use just we are saying this because it makes it easier for you to contain what you have designed and know you're going. Then for two, we say prepare strategically. The idea is you can't have two both funds happening at the same time in one place. So it means that if I'm going to make this campaign, my next text is going to be normal because what I want to do is this one and not this one. If I make both of them, I'll contrast it. There's no the pairing is then small. You don't even you will not be able to differentiate which is the header, which is the another thing is size matters. Size matters a lot because everything has like I said, there's hierarchy. It means that as I'm going to do the heading with the different for subtext, and it's actually going to be different from the body text because we're trying to make sure we should users to see what they want to see. The adjusting the line height, adjusting the left, line to right, and all of that. They also have space. Why is this happening? These are things that I know that right now, very, very theoretical. It's sounding like I'm just doing anything. It's just sounding like, okay, I'm in everywhere at any time. But in real sense, this is what we have going on. And on that, oh, just give me a minute. I think I lost my slides. Okay, beautiful. And then move on to typography. Just like I've said, too many fonts will cause distraction. Too small means that someone can already read it. They have to see one thing you have to talk about design is if somebody sends you a flyer, you have to bring your phone closer to your eyes. There's something wrong with it. You should be able to open the design and just see clearly without stressing yourself. So the next thing we're looking at is layout and composition. Why layout? Just as I said, we have hierarchy. The layout will always come to play. What is your visual hierarchy? What do you want people to see? As we move forward, we then understand that we are moving from here to there, meaning that for visual hierarchy, I'm saying, just like I said, I want the first thing you see when I open up this slide is this guy. Fundamentally, layout and composition. It's just what I need to start before we move on. And then let's move on to is the canvas design. Now you might do your grids in 3 or 4, but this particular one, I see my grids are because I just want to set up spaced out and stated. Then another thing we have to look at is white space. White space more or less about if you can see my mouse, this place I am holding about is white space. This is white space. It's facing the space. This is white space. The idea is what white space does for your it allows your design to breathe. So it's not congested. Nobody's going to feel overwhelmed. Nobody's going to feel tired, and that's how it's going to work. Alignment is what I said. Okay, I'm keeping everything on the second. If you notice something, every design has that been done. There's a space here. This space at the sides are consistent throughout this particular slide. When we started till now, it is more or less saying, well, I'm making sure that all our items are aligned properly to the side so that we can do whatever we want. And there's proximity, which is more or less moving at the back. And we have repetitions where we repeat color, font, and design across board or across frames. Now, this is plain repetition. If you notice, this is bridge number 1. And then there's a repetition among boxes. The only thing that changes text inside and then in icons we are having at this time for this plasticity. I think the fastest way I would say that designers can improve is by cloning other people's design. If you turn on, if you go to use Canva or Figma, they already have rulers. So you can use that to mark out your design so that you know that I am moving from point A, point B, and no item should cross lines that have always been set. And there's something I would say, clone somebody that like tell yourself that okay, I'm not a good designer, but the idea is you can only be good when you practice. So it means that if you see someone's design and you like it, try to redesign that design. You don't necessarily have to have the whole items. There's certain things you can just be sure. And then we have AI right now. So if you're not sure about the particular fault that the person used, just take a screenshot, put it in any of the AI chats, Gemini, Claude, and the rest. It will tell you the particular fault that was used, and then you can move on from there. Fundamental is balance. At most, there has to be visual balance. Every design that will be done will be designed. You have to always balance it out, making sure that if you're looking at this design, is it balanced on both sides? And someone look at it with trust. Is it okay? Like, are the items equally distributed this design? Another thing to look at is asymmetric balance. Asymmetric balance is more or less when you have contracts of just everywhere. Now, I'll give an example with this group that we have. Looking at this way now, we can say this is symmetrically balanced, and at the same time, it's asymmetric balance. So we have equal weight distribution and see that the icons are the same size. Text that wants to stand out, the heading text is there. It's starting out. So what we have done, we have achieved hierarchy, we have achieved balance, we have achieved white space. And then we have achieved the act using 2 to 3 fonts and then 2 to 3 colors when designing what you have here. Then at the end of it, when you have all 4 of these elements put together to make up design, but then seeing design then comes together and work perfectly. Because when we design, we first design colors. What are the colors we're looking at? Color we affect the mood, contrast, and what we design. Then also we don't affect type of typography. Depending on the message you want to pass. If I'm decorating a Christmas flyer, for example, the best contrast to use is calligraphy or decorating. Why? It is Christmas season, it's festivity. That's the best thing to use. I cannot use a decorative font design in hospital fire. Well, decorative takes a while to read, but you will print it out. But the hospital flyer can be used, designed using a serif font, exactly. Because what we want is that the user should pick it out and not start thinking about, oh, is this A, is this O? But for decorative that is used in the festive season, people just want to see something fine, and that is fine. But for health, it's very important that whichever is making up that design, they just want to see the actual information they need, and then they can move from there. And that's how it comes to balance, affect balance, and everything. That then goes to. So I am basically wrapping down. If you have any questions, please answer your questions. I hope this is not overwhelming at the extent. I hope to the extent I'll be able to grasp what we have here. So guys, I am going to pause for you and I am going to ask you. If you have questions regarding what we have, please let us know. This is more or less an introduction to the things you have to learn, what you need to know, and how we move forward. So if you understand this basic, I believe that we're good. One thing I would also like to add, since more or less an introduction class and kind of theoretical, is that with design, you have to be very open-minded and you have to be flexible. Because every word you think of means something, and everything you see would actually come to play on in what design. Because at the end of the day, design is passing a message, especially graphic design. We just want to pass a message and walk away from it. So whatever we choose to use to design, it's fine. The important thing is to pass the actual message to everyone. So guys, do we have a question? I don't like quiet classes. I do not like quiet classes. Hello. So I have about 10 of you in call. It means that I choose to call names, I'll get everything. Hassan, Jimmy, Taiwo, Uchenna, Wemimo, Grace, Faith, Awusia, I think these are people I have on phone. Is there any question? No question. Is it very easy to understand? Are we all on the page? Can we drop an assignment there? Is it fair to drop an assignment? Is everybody understand what is happening? Then we start with that tomorrow as we move on. Okay. Since nobody said anything, I am going to do something. I believe everybody can see my screen. Let's see. Okay. It's like a but now we move that one images. So we talked about good designs and bad designs. Oh no, it's what we're looking at. 1 minute. I wanted to see something. So I want to show you guys an image and I want you to tell me which is good and which is bad. Let's move now. Okay, so now I'm seeing a couple of designs here. This is like this one. Okay. I hope they got toilet paper. I think this way. Now, mainly looking at this design, what do we think? We've talked about balance, we've talked about typography, we've talked about contrast. And if you don't have any questions, you guys don't have any questions. I'd like to ask, we have these three designs. What is one thing that is sure? They say these are bad graphic design examples. In real sense, let's rate this from 1 to 10, which is very bad, which is not so bad, which is manageable. You have 1, 2, 3, you're counting on your left. So if you say 1 is very bad, can I get a thumbs up? So that everybody here to be sure we fully know. If 1 is very bad, can I get a thumbs up? You're not just, you guys are not seeing the actual design. Okay. This is the design we are looking at. Which design is very bad? 1, 2, 3. Very, very bad. That's the class quiet. Well, how many sorry designs I shared just now? That particular screen I shared too. 3 is very bad, okay? 2, okay. So 1 person, 3. I showed 3 designs. 3 is very bad, which is manageable. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'll say 3 is bad, then 1 and 2. Okay. Okay. It's very bad. Oh, 1 and 2. So I'm going back right now. Guys. Give me 1 minute. Let me pick up that design again. Where did it go? Okay, this is it. So guys, please look at this. I'll give you 1 minute to think about your answers. Give you 1 minute about your answers. Guys, let me know. Okay. Okay, guys. Okay, one is rejected. So I believe that for the three designs, one is manageable. But you see, one is not manageable, three is manageable. Then two next before one. But then if you want to defend, that's why you chose um why you picked the options you picked, you can go ahead to unmute your mic and do that. So guys, yes, everybody's quiet. Okay. All right. So if you have no questions, I believe that I will have this material will be dropped and an assignment will be attached to it so that we can go ahead and then practice what we have seen or give answers to what design is bad and which design is not bad. And then go ahead to back while that particular answer was presented. Please note that this will be dropped on the WhatsApp group as well as the assignment. So thank you very much for joining us this class. Thank you for joining the next class. I did ask that it should be more interactive, and then we're moving on to actual practicals where we get to see how this design system to work and the tools we'll be working with for design. Tomorrow we'll have Oludayo come on the board and just how to use it and put into play everything we have seen here together so that you see how that works. That being said, if there are no other questions, I can stop sharing my screen. I can call it a day. Thank you very much.